Whatever was inside of Project 2025, what Trump is doing now is even better. The Democrats are still stuck on it. We're going to hear from Jasmine Crockett. We're going to hear about all the good news that Trump's been doing over the weekend. Welcome to Doug in Exile. Don't forget to subscribe, my people.
Not our democracy. Well, he did say he'd be a dictator on day one. Oh, Democrats, it's just Trump. He just talks. Well, let me tell you something. He is doing more than talking. We talked about Project 2025.
They talked about Project 2025. What he's doing now, I want more of. Whatever this thing he's doing now is called, it's better than Project 2025.
Talked about the consolidation of power. We talked about how he wanted to be a king. We talked about in a democratic republic, that is not what it is. We have some sort of checks and balances, and he is doing everything that he can to get rid of those checks and balances. The DOJ and the people that he's going after were simply doing their jobs. The problem is that Americans thought that it was okay to take a full-fledged criminal and make him the president of the United States.
But you made him into a criminal. He was not a full-fledged criminal. And we need checks and balances to keep Democrats from prosecuting their opponents.
And then they want to act aghast when he does criminal things. Let me tell you, we have a thug in charge of the United States.
She would know what a thug is.
He don't wake up. We may not have a United States because right now he has only been successful in being a divider in chief.
Translation, wow, we lost. And the biggest news over the weekend is Trump launching his tariffs, 25% against Canada, 25% against Mexico, 10% against China. And they're readying for that hit because that's going to completely disrupt their economies. They're going to have to play ball. Now, America only imports 2.5%, of their stuff from Canada or Mexico. So it won't affect us if they do a reverse tariff on us. But we represent some 60% of their gross, all of their imports and all of their economy. So they have to play ball with us, and Trump's just flexing. That's all. This is America extending its power around the world, and we're not being taken advantage of anymore.
Every candidate always says they want free and fair trade. The free trade always comes. It's the fair trade that never follows. Donald Trump changed that 4 years ago when he was in the White House. You're seeing more of that in this term. He wants the American people to benefit. You'll see a common theme. It's putting the American people first. And only in Washington, D.C. would it be a novelty where someone runs on an issue, wins on an issue, and then actually does what they say they were going to do. Donald Trump is solely focused on making sure that the fentanyl, the deaths, the human trafficking, the child smuggling, the rapes, the murders, the illegal immigration stops. And if Canada and Mexico need tariffs as a lever of incentive and influence to bring them to the table to help stop that, Donald Trump is going to do it.
So far, the response from Canada and Mexico was pretty bad when Trump said, end the fentanyl coming into this country. China said it's not our problem, it's America's problem. And this is a check-in on Doge with Elon Musk, an interview where he says we could cut 1 trillion of our budget, that is half of our budget, our government's operating budget, by 2026. And he talks about the many benefits that'll come to Americans when that happens.
I'm optimistic that we'll see a material impact in FY26, which starts in October. A lot of the stuff, I think we'll make significant gains in FY25. Government financial year 25, which ends in September. But the sort of metric we're tracking, sort of kind of startup style, or just. And we're going to be posting more and more detail on the Doge website and Doge handle on X is just so people can see in detail, like this is where we're seeing the delta in spending between current spending and government financial year 25 or 26, which starts in October. And that number is really, we think it's at this point over $1 billion a day, maybe 2 billion, maybe approaching 3, and I think we can take $1 trillion out of the deficit next year. Obviously, this is going to require strong support from the president, but thus far we certainly have that, and also support of the Congress.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're going to get that. You start digging into all the pork and all the spending little favorites and all the favors of all the congressmen. We got to keep the Republicans united and put pressure on them on social media to keep them in line.
Support, and also hopefully support from the judiciary as well. It's, I mean, basically the goal in a nutshell is pretty straightforward. It's like we have a $2 trillion deficit, which is far in excess of economic growth. If we can get that deficit in half, from 2 trillion to 1 trillion, and we can get the economic growth to match that 1 trillion growth in the money supply, that means there will be no inflation, and also that interest rates will drop, credit card interest down, mortgage interest down, car payment interest down, and prices at the store stay the same. That is a great outcome for people.
Now, I just want to go back to what Jasmine Crockett said on this dictator and all this stuff. Biden raised our inflation to record levels. Elon Musk just spelled out a plan where within 1 year, inflation goes to zero, which is the biggest financial benefit to everyone in America. Rich, poor, old, young, does not matter. Inflation is an invisible tax on every single American, and they're going to lower it, giving you more money to spend. Now, look, I have our favorite. This is Julie Kelly on the bloodbath at the FBI that's going to go on today and tomorrow. Expecting a bloodbath at FBI today and tomorrow. My guess is acting FBI Director Brian Driscoll will be gone by this evening for defying a direct order seeking names of FBI employees, perhaps more than 6,000 involved in J6 cases. Now, we already talked about this. We did a video on this one over the weekend where they sent out emails saying if you were at all involved with J6, we want to review your work. And then they're going to fire them if they did bad things, and they're going to keep them, we believe, if they did good things. Hard to see how James Dennehy, who runs the New York field office, keeps his job after sending a defiant email to colleagues over the weekend promising to, quote, dig in, unquote, and not step down or follow orders. That was something that we did a video on with Michael Steele yesterday on MSNBC. He said they should all dig in. They should not leave their jobs. They should not comply. They should just sit there in their cubicle. And that's James Dennehy, who probably watches MSNBC. The New York Times obtained the actual email from Dennehy. Quote, today we find ourselves in the middle of a battle of our own, as good people are being walked out of the FBI and others are being targeted because they did their jobs in accordance with the law and FBI policy, Dennehy wrote. Dennehy also said the removal of top officials, including at Miami and Washington field offices, have caused, quote, fear and angst within the FBI ranks, unquote. Good. He compared his insubordination to being a Marine, quote, in the early 90s, when he dug a small foxhole 5 feet deep and hunkered down for safety. It sucked, he wrote, but it worked. I don't think this is going to end well for Mr. Dennehy. Now, later, Julie Kelly writes that she doesn't know if the government, Trump, is going to be able to just flat out fire them legally. What they can do, because that office falls under his jurisdiction, the president's jurisdiction. That's why the FBI is unelected. You know, they're all little job appointments. She says it's unclear whether every FBI employee who worked on January 6 terrorism cases will be fired. My guess is that many will be asked to take their terrorism expertise down to the southern border or other locations where real terror exists. Now, this was something that Kash Patel proposed back over a year ago. He said the FBI, instead of spying on U.S. citizens, should be down on the border or within our cities looking for crime, so they could just reorder them to go work the border, and that's well within the president's jurisdiction to help them with their jobs. Now, I have proof here, this is from an older article, that the FBI spied on Catholics. We're going to go here. Now, this is the Catholic Herald. I'm not Catholic. I'm a Protestant, just in case you think I'm trying to push some agenda. I'm not. I'm against the FBI spying on anyone. You'll see in this article what I'm talking about. FBI spied on traditionalist U.S. Catholics from coast to coast. New evidence reveals. The FBI mounted spying operations on traditionalist Catholic churchgoers across the whole of the United States, according to new evidence obtained by politicians, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, was in February accused of secretly gathering evidence which might link Catholics in the Richmond area of Virginia to, quote, the far-right nationalist movement. That's where the FBI was focused on, guys. They were going after what they considered mega MAGA Republicans and pro-lifers. At least one agent was sent out to spy on Catholics who were worshiping at churches and chapels in the area, a U.S. government committee was told. New revelations by the U.S. House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday have revealed, however, that the espionage against Catholics was far broader, also encompassing the activities of agents in the West Coast states, Oregon and California at the very least. There were multiple field offices of the FBI coordinating an investigation into traditionalist Catholics, according to the committee. In a press release, the Judiciary Committee said that information recently produced to the committee demonstrated that the FBI relied on information from around the country to develop its assessment that some Catholics could be terrorists. The committee said the new information originated from FBI officials based in Portland and in Los Angeles. This ends now. By the way, we are big supporters of the Tennessee 10, that is 10 evangelical, not Catholic, evangelical pro-lifers that went and protested local abortion clinics. They were all imprisoned and now they've been released. And we supported them. So they went after evangelicals also. They went after people of all religions. And the people who went to prison here in Tennessee said that they believe that it was all orchestrated by the Biden administration. They wanted some pro-life scalps. Well, this has been today's news. I'll get you another episode coming up in about an hour. So I hope you guys will subscribe. That's how you reward this channel, and watch another video is how you push this video out to everyone else. I'm Doug in Exile.